Many years ago, Hyundai decided to enter the luxury space and create their sub-brand called the Genesis. It took everyone by storm, and honestly, it's such a work of art. And yes, that also means finally we have a Genesis on our channel. Welcome everybody to the 2024 Genesis GV70 Electric. Wait, that's not how it's called. It's actually called the Genesis Electrified GV70. So the GV70 is their luxury crossover. It's slightly below the GV80, which is the three-row luxurious, which people actually call the mini Bentley Bentayga. This is the smaller version, and this is electric for 2024. It's been in the market for quite a few years now, but it has that V6 engine, and now with its electric power, let's see how this luxury crossover is. The front end of the GV70 has the typical Genesis family look. You have the twin slat headlights. It's a hit or miss. Some people don't like it, some people like it, some people call it looks like an alien. Personally, I like it a lot. It's got very beautiful DRLs embedded into it, and the LED lights also look really good. The same DRLs also become indicators when you want to turn somewhere. Since this is the electrified version, this big grille, if I can say, is not see-through like how it is in the gas engine, because it doesn't need to supply air to the engine at all. This is just one plaque, and it looks really good. It's in a very brushed aluminum finish, and obviously they had to retain the traditional Genesis family look, but all they did was just block it, and I think it still very much looks unmistakably like a Genesis. One party trick though, the charge port on this car is actually embedded on this grille, but if you look from far, you can hardly tell where the charge port is. But if you just touch it and it opens up, yes, that is the charge port for this car. Pretty fancy if you ask me. When you come to the side is when you notice that this crossover is actually decently big. It's not too small, not too big, just the right amount of space to navigate through tight traffic or just parking or anything. The wheels are very nice. It's the same one that the gas engine has, but the only difference on this is that since this is the electrified, it has white brake calipers. Now, I've not seen white brake calipers anywhere. Honestly, it's really unique, and once I noticed it, I did see that it's a standout point for this car. And if you see one on the road that has white calipers, be sure to check. It might be the electrified version. I like this paint shade a lot that this car comes with. It pops really well, especially when it's supremely clean and supremely sunny. None of which is available today because this car is very dirty and it's not sunny. But again, it looks very good, and Genesis has just perfectly designed this car. And I like that they took an existing platform, because I feel like EV brands are trying too hard to make their car stand out. This looks just like a regular crossover on the roads, just with electric power. And I think that's how electric vehicles should be designed in the future. The rear of the GV70 is again the traditional Genesis family look, which I really like. You have sort of like a coupe-like styling that comes to from the C-pillar almost to the rear, but it does not compromise headroom in any way. So it's a very cool style element that's been added. You have tons of chrome on the C-pillar as well, because this is a luxury SUV, right? And rich people love chrome, apparently. When you come to the rear, you do notice that you do again have the same theme, the split taillights, which look really good. The DRLs are on. You've got some badging that says Genesis GV70, nothing that says electrified. So again, it's just down to your guessing skills if you can guess if this is the gas one or the electrified one. You do have a two-tone on the bumper. Again, the regular GV70 has cutouts for exhaust. They had to cover that for this, because obviously you can't just leave it open, or you can't just put like plastic over it, because that would look even weird. So what they did was they just completely removed it. You have some very small reverse lights in the silver part, bottom part of the bumper. You do have tail lights, indicators, everything. It's very minimalistic. In fact, they took the minimalistic to one step too far. In fact, they have the rear wiper on the rear windshield, right? I'm not a very big fan. I like rear wipers integrated into the spoiler, which is pretty big if you ask me. But they are focusing so much on the minimalism. They've put the tailgate opener button on the wiper. Honestly, you can probably find a layman and set them like a 1-minute challenge to find the tailgate button. You might win, honestly. It takes a lot because it's so well hidden and covered into the rear wiper structure that it definitely takes a minute or two to find it, because it's normally people find it under the tailgate, but over here you won't find anything. What can I say? It does definitely look very luxurious and very premium, which is exactly what Genesis set out to do from the first day. I'm now inside the GV70 and it is a very minimalistic theme in here as well. First things first, what I really like and more manufacturers should do is have a wireless charger which can store your phone and it can be completely out of your sight. Like I put my phone inside here and I can close it and I don't need my phone. The only downside to this, however, is that this very big screen is an amazing screen. Honestly, it has everything you could need. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, a lot of information you could search for your range, battery health, everything. But it does not have wireless CarPlay. So for that, you need to keep this open and then use the wired port, which is really funny. Honestly, Hyundai, Genesis, Kia, they've all been doing it. Their top of the model ranges never have wireless CarPlay. And I don't know why in this day and age. You have a screen here which is currently turned off, but this has all the air conditioning controls, heated seats, heated steering, and a host of different controls for the HVAC. This is all inside here. It's very nice, and these knobs for the temperature also have a very satisfying click. It just feels very nice. And again, you know, Hyundai has been doing for all their cars and this is their premium offering, so this has to be their best foot forward, and I can totally tell you that it sure is. There's leather everywhere. This is amazing quality leather. The doors are amazing leather. The steering is so nice. The leather, it's perforated leather where you hold the steering so it doesn't wear out completely. The whole dash is full leather. It just feels so premium. So the only two colors you will find here is gray and silver. The silver is like an aluminum finish. So you have some on the steering wheel, you have some on the center console, you have some on the doors, and then you have this some on the center console. So gloss black can be very tricky to work with. It has a lot of fingerprints. So I honestly thought that since this is not gloss black, it would not be a fingerprint magnet. But I feel like this is even more of a fingerprint magnet than gloss black is, which is really funny. I don't know how Genesis has pulled that off. You have an all digital gauge cluster which looks really good, and you have the option to make it in a very 3D look, which I have turned off. It can look a bit trippy at times, but you have different modes. So you have eco, comfort, sport, so the dials change slightly in how they look and the color in the different modes. You have the drive mode button here which feels very good. You have a rotary knob to control the screen, because I feel like the screen is a bit too far for the driver to touch and control. Like it's a legit stretch, and that's not something you want to do when you're driving. So you do have the rotary which feels very tactile. Honestly, it feels very good, and it's got like a very crystallized finish to it, which again, it's just the luxury part that this car screams very loudly. You do have a rotary gear knob, gear lever as well. It feels very good clicks, but it can get very confusing, especially with these two rotaries together. I find myself often trying to find gear with this, and then I realize, oh wait, that's not it, because it's so free. This is the real gear lever. It looks really good, but it could have been positioned a bit further away from this screen controlled rotary knob. You do have two cup holders, and you do have a big storage inside here as well. I mean, Genesis has really killed it with the packaging and the looks of this whole interior. It's a 10 on 10 on my side, because it just feels so very premium. And something that adds more to the premiumness is this roof liner. Oh my god, this is legit. This is Alcantara, and I have not seen this in a car in this price range so far. It just, you know, exceeds my expectations, and it uplifts the whole ambience so well. What can I say? I mean, I had so high expectations, and this Genesis has not let me down at all in the luxury expectations. I'm now in the back of the GV70, and space is really not an issue. This seat is actually further behind than what I would usually have, and I still have a lot of knee room, a lot of place to tuck in my feet, a lot of headroom as well. The black interior might be a bit claustrophobic because this is the privacy glass, so it's very heavily tinted. But if you do feel sunny, you have a manual shade as well, which honestly I really like this feature a lot. You have a netting to put some knickknacks here and there. You do have a center armrest with cup holders as well. You do have temperature control screens and the knobs, which is similar to the front, and they feel so good, so tactile. I just love it. And they have display built in them for the temperature. You have heated seats, all that stuff. Two USB-A ports as well. One very nifty feature, however, is the fact that you can move this passenger seat from the side here. So I don't know if it's visible on camera, but there are buttons here so that I can move this front seat. Seems like this is built for chauffeur driven customers. Anyhow, it's still very nice, and you have a flat floor, so the third passenger is very much welcome because they have an armrest as well. Again, what can I say, it just feels very nice. And yes, this backrest is adjustable, so you can lie down, almost sit in the back, and just perhaps you can even sleep, because this is an electric, it's so quiet, you can just sleep on your journeys. I'm now behind the wheel of the GV70 Electrified. So let's get the numbers out of the way because there are quite a few numbers. So this is a dual motor setup. So it has a 160 kilowatts front electric motor and a rear motor as well. So 160 plus a 77 kilowatts power battery. So it produces a combined of 420 horsepower. That is until you press this boost button on the steering wheel, which then pushes the horsepower up to 480 horsepower, which helps propel this SUV from 0 to 100 in under 5 seconds. I think the claimed is 4.4, 4.5, which is extremely rapid for an electric crossover. In fact, any crossover, I would say. So let's get driving. So slot it to drive. I can try to launch this actually. So I'll put it to sport. There you go. And then I'll press the, oh, my lumbers get really tight. They really want to hold me in. And then I'll press the boost button. So I have boost ready for 10 seconds. So if I floor it, oh, this thing is fast. And I'm way beyond the speed limit. Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. 10 seconds, the counter ends now. So I'm back to 420 horsepower. This is so addictive. I can just put it back into comfort and just calm down, because this is an electric crossover after all, right? You're just meant to drive in a laid back manner, just chill, cruise down the road. It's so nice. I'm on a bumpy patch of road, but you don't feel anything. Even though this car runs on 20-inch wheels, you hardly feel anything. Partly because the suspension is so good and the seats themselves are really good. You have a lot of adjustments. You have electric under thigh extensions, electric extensions and adjustments of the lumbar as well, up, down, back, and you have massage for the driving seat as well, which is just a bonus. Just makes your daily commute just that much more easier. Honestly, I've heard this car is very luxurious, very comfortable, but after driving it for a week, I can safely say I agree. It's really comfortable, and perhaps one of the better dailies if you have the kind of money that Genesis asks for this car. I think it's one of the best dailies, if I can say. The only reason I would say that it's perhaps not really the ultimate daily is because the range. The claimed range is 380. Now, claimed is one thing, but real world, obviously, every electric vehicle definitely delivers below their claimed. So the claimed is 380, but considering how I've been driving this vehicle and the driving pattern, I would say I can manage a easy 330, 340 kilometers in a charge, in a full charge from 100 to 0, which is decent. I would say it's not class leading or the best in the EV industry, but still it's not too bad, because I did drive another electric crossover, the EQB, before, and that had lower range than this, and it didn't feel as good to drive or as premium inside. What can I say? It's so good. I just activated the I pedal, which is the one pedal drive, and it comes to a stop on its own, which is such a cool feature. Honestly, it's so easy to drive this in daily drive, especially if we have the one pedal drive. It's so easy. It actually comes to a complete halt on its own, which is just what you need when you are driving this car in stop-start traffic. It's very comfortable, and there is no noise. The only thing you hear is perhaps wind from the A-pillar or the tires, and that's about it. And that's what I love about EVs. I've been saying this a lot. For daily driving, if you have a fixed commute, EVs are the best, and this is as good as it gets. Honestly, it's so fun. I didn't expect to be blown away, and I'm just blown away driving this car. In conclusion then, the 2024 Genesis Electrified GV70. Well, honestly, I've heard so many good reviews about this car, and I could not wait to get my hands on it. And to be honest, I am not disappointed. It feels every bit of luxurious and premium that Genesis wanted it to be. The interiors are a class apart. Honestly, anything you touch and feel feels so premium. The exterior, oh, it definitely looks like a very expensive car. It rides really well, it drives really well. The battery electric motors have quite a lot of punch. One downside is maybe the range. Perhaps in this price, people expect a lot of range, maybe 400 kilometers plus, but you can't have everything. Honestly, in this day and age, the only compromise I would say is the range. So if you can live with that kind of range, this is perhaps your go-to EV. Honestly, it's that good. You don't need to look at any other EVs in this price point. Speaking of the price, it's at around $84,500 Canadian because Genesis provides the electric with only one variant, which is the Prestige, and it has all the bells and whistles you could ever ask for. If I were in the market for an electric crossover that could comfortably carry my family and the luggage, and it looks so good, this might be the only one I would probably seriously consider.